Hello.
Hello.
Hey, everyone.
All right. All right. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
I was muted so far, right? Because I've been using a lot of profanity. Okay, good.
Makes sense.
Good. So to all of you watching on the interwebs, we're simulcasting on Facebook, YouTube, and on Instagram right now. So leave us your comments. I'll see them here. We will take your questions as we go. I'm going to do a quick intro of myself, and then I'm going to pass the ball to everyone else while I share the post around. So to a quick introduction, I'm Carmelo Chimera from Chimera's Comics. I'm so thrilled to be a part of Pots and Panels. There's so many great creators, many of whom I've never met before, and many of whom I've read your work. So it's really nice to be featured in an anthology alongside all of you. I will introduce more of myself in a minute, but I thought it'd be great if why don't we go around and say who we are, what our contribution was to Pots and Panels, maybe give me the name and the log line for your story. And by the time you make it around back to me, I should be done sharing our post everywhere. So why don't we start just looking at the order on my screen? Let's start with Jason. Jason, can you introduce yourself to all the handsome people watching at home?
Hey, everybody. My name's Jason Michalski. I'm one of the organizers on Pots and Panels. I also have two stories featured in Pots and Panels, one called Montana and the other called Cousins. Cousins is about two cousins that find themselves on both sides of World War I, fighting each other. And the other story, Montana, is about an old man who finds a wolf in the woods, and they get into an adventure together.
I love it. Emily?
Yes.
Emily, what's your story? Tell us who you are and what you contributed to Pots and Panels.
So my story is with my dad, is the guy that's right there.
Nice.
It's called Hot Chicken Salad. It's about a teenage girl and her boyfriend. Sorry, I can hear my family in the background.
No worries.
It's about a girl and her boyfriend and how she's explaining how they have this family tradition of hot chicken salad and how important it is to their whole family. She goes home and she's super excited about it, only to find her mom stressing about making it really bad. And she looks over and the crock pot is actively on fire.
All right. That sounds like something we can all relate to.
Yes.
Jonathan Chance, tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Chance. I'm the writer-creator of a story called Toadstools in this book, which I'm so proud to be a part of with all these wonderful, talented people that some I've heard of, some I've read, some I'm getting to know. My story, Toadstools, is about, it's a short tale about two children. One in particular is very creepy, a creepy, narcissistic little child, basically. And the art style that we wanted to get for this was very kind of, I wanted to give it sort of like a Norman Rockwell Americana kind of style, but underneath the surface, it's very dark. And the funny thing is, when I actually first saw the cover art for Pots and Panels, I thought how funny the style of art that we went with was quite similar to the style of the art of this book. So I'm thinking it's perfect for this book. So I don't want to give away too much, but it's a very wicked tale.
That's fantastic. And all of you who are watching us, if you want to read Toadstools before anybody else, we are giving Toadstools away as a reward for joining our mailing list to keep up to date on Pots and Panels. So if you'd like to read Toadstools now, I'll share the link in the comments, and you can get it emailed to you free. It's one of our favorite stories, so we wanted to use that to brag about how awesome the rest of the book is.
Oh, nice.
It's one of 4 segments in Pots and Panels that you can read for free right now, because we think this book rocks so much, and it's got 50 different stories in it. And we think there's a lot of great indie comics out there, so you should know what you're getting. And Jonathan's is one of those stories. Chuck, we're going to do you last because screw you. I'm sorry. I'm just playing. Chuck, you're responsible for the circus. You're the ringmaster. Tell us who you are and why you've gathered us all here this evening.
Well, as it says in the thing, I'm the idiot who thought of this, but my name's Chuck Satterley, and I am a comic book writer. I am honored to be here with everybody, and um, throughout this entire live stream, hopefully we'll have a number of creators popping in and out, coming in, leaving, whatever. But I thought of Pots and Panels. It was a idea that it originally was going to be an idea for a podcast where a bunch of, because Jason and I are part of a kind of a group of curmudgeon old creators who on Twitter talk about food on top of comics. We have conversations like, for instance, what is the best fish sandwich in fast food? Discuss. And and it just kind of morphed into this idea, a bunch of food themed stories by some of my favorite creators, and then the idea was, hey, let's add a recipe. And not only are the readers going to get 50 amazing food themed stories, but they're also going to get over 60 recipes submitted by creators in the book, and in some cases, a couple of podcast hosts. But on top of just the recipes, it's going to be kind of a glimpse into the lives of these creators, because it's a story about, hey, not why not only are they submitting a recipe, but why are they submitting that recipe? Why is it special to them? Is it handed down through generations? Is it so? So I thought that was a great idea, but apparently 87 other creators agreed, because we have 87 people in this anthology. I've done a couple things in comics other than that. Don't need to get into it. We're here to talk about Pots and Panels. I'll shut up. On to, I guess, Peter, man. Great story, Hot Chicken Salad. Great story.
I appreciate that.
Pete, anything to add to Emily's background?
Well, my name's Pete. I made that.
Oh, you guys look so much alike.
Yeah. Oh, it's true. Yeah. If I shaved, it's impossible to tell. Shaved, maybe dyed my hair, get some of the gray back out of it again, that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I got kind of pulled in originally to try to do some proofreading, and then they were like, "Oh wait, you have a talented kid." And so the one thing that she didn't mention too is that Emily is also doing some colors on some of the other stories in the book as well. So she's done all of the artwork for me, and she's helping some other teams out that needed help.
Fantastic. That's great.
Cool.
She's coloring one of my two stories, and she's helping to bring back. Emily's helping to bring back to life 4 characters that I thought would never come back to life, who I worked on with Norm Brayfogle. She's coloring the Of Bitter Souls rebirth story. So thank you, Emily. And may I add real quick, John Chance, when you submitted Toadstools, the entire team was like, "What?" You're first of all, you're kind of demented, dude. But other than that, we really
this team.
We really loved the Toadstools when it came in. Anyway, I'll shut up. That was a great story.
That's fantastic. And before I pass the ball to Jeff, just a quick reminder that we do have giveaways for tonight. So anyone we're going to pick a backer at random tonight, and I'm going to give them a free graphic novel we'll talk about in a minute. So stay tuned, stick around, leave a comment so we know you were here. And if you haven't already backed Pots and Panels on Kickstarter, please do. And then you'll be in the drawing automatically, because I'm going to pick a backer at the end of this. So as long as you get your pledge in before we're done streaming, you could win a graphic novel, and I'll tell you what it is in a bit. But Geoffrey, please tell us about yourself.
My name is Geoffrey Wessel, and I'm in this for the money, basically.
Well, then you picked the wrong career, man. Comics.
No, I meant this book for the money.
Oh, right. Obviously, we're all fabulous.
Everything else I do for free, obviously.
Right.
Yeah, I have a 2-page anecdote. That the first page is just a long setup to the anecdote that I tell on the second page. From when I spent a a lot of the 2000s and part of the 2010s working as a cook in various kitchens. So that's basically it. Just
Wow.
a kind of a autobiographical, anecdotal slice of life type of thing.
So you're a cook turned comic book creator, is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I actually created Keeper whilst I was working, basically.
Got it.
My book from the 2010s called Keeper. I basically first devised it whilst I was working nights. So
very cool. Well,
I first learned about Geoffrey through a Kickstarter called Takedown. He had a Phil Hester cover, and I am a huge fan of Geoffrey. And I want to point out that Geoffrey has 2 S's in his last name.
That's true.
I know that.
Yes.
Interesting thing to highlight. All right.
Well, no, I keep messing it up, and so I'll never mess it up again.
Got it. I get it. Shaming yourself in public, which is really, isn't that why we all became comic creators, is to embarrass ourselves?
to throw ourselves on our swords. Yes, exactly.
Howie, introduce yourself, please, to everyone.
I'm Howie Knoll. I'm an artist and a writer, and I'm just proud to be here. You know, part of Pots and Panels. I got my mother-in-law to give me a recipe, so it's good, and I'm excited. It's the debut of my new comic strip. Clue, the main villain, the Big Cheese, he gets his own story, so I'm real excited that he gets to debut in this anthology with so many amazing, talented creators.
Fantastic. It's great to have you. Great to meet. Great to know
Thank you.
And,
can I just say that Howie is I am a huge fan of Howie, and I just saw him on the internet, and I invited him to be a part of this, and I'm so thankful you're a part of this. And I wanted to say congratulations on being an actual Dick Tracy artist now.
It happened.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't know. This is something worked in the universe. You know, you get so much bad luck.
You should tell everybody. You should tell everybody what you're
lifetime.
doing. You should tell everybody what you're doing.
Yeah, I worked when I was a little kid. I used to read Dick Tracy in my local newspaper with my dad, and I would redraw the strips. And Dick Loker was the artist then, and I put my dad in the strips, and it was like a big bonding thing. So my dad got diagnosed with cancer around 2019, and it was like this earth-shattering thing. And I just reverted back to drawing what I always should have been drawing, and that was Dick Tracy and stuff like that of that era, and drawing him again. And it was really cool way to keep on this plane, you know, keep going. And my dad unfortunately passed in 2020, but I kept at it, and every time I draw, it's like he's with me. So it's just how it was. I used to show him the drawings, and he was the best audience. He kind of distorted the world for me because he was the best, most supportive person. Like my mom always said, he was just amazed, you know. And I go to my wife, and I'm like, hey, it's not the same, you know. It's just like, hey. So drawing those things, everybody was like, this is what you should have been doing. And this year I got the chance to be an official in canon artist, thanks to the guest strips on the daily comic strip in the newspapers. It was in the Chicago Tribune, which blows my mind. And we had the writers, Matthew Manning. It was a good run, a great people really liked. We got to do a new Rogue, which is crazy, to do a new villain that's part of the canon.
Yeah, to the most famous Rogues gallery next to Batman's, right?
Yeah, and I got to draw Sam Catchum, who I love, and I got his orange suit back. He used to have an orange suit. This is for like Dick Tracy big fans and nerds, but he had an orange suit back in the day, and he had one in the movie, and I was like, that was my one egregious ask, can I get his orange suit back? And they did it. So it's awesome. Yeah, I'm very excited. And now my own world, which is, you know, the Clue, where he's a private detective, so he's not like Dick Tracy, where he more bends the rules. He's more like Humphrey Bogart kind of detective, but the Big Cheese is the big villain. So this was when Chuck approached me, it was just a great opportunity. I was like, food theme. Oh, Big Cheese. He's a living piece of cheese who wears a nice suit. And, you know, I was like, can't beat this for a print debut. So I'm very honored. Thank you.
It's amazing how much food has to do with comic books. I'm one of those people that like lives to eat, not the other way around. So like this was near and dear to my heart. And so hearing the same thing from you that like you had this cheese themed villain ready to go.
Yeah, and I love cheese puns. So I always,
yeah.
he's a slice above the rest. He's got a good head on it, stuff like that. He's a good guy. It's just real bad dad jokes. Yeah, it's horrible. But
I've been filling all
them in there.
I've been filling all the Pots and Panels copy with as many puns as I possibly can. So I'm with you on the puns.
Well, I think we've pretty much met all of the creators of note. Is there?
I'm not sure that we have, Chuck. I think you're.
No, I'm pretty sure. I mean, there's no one else, right? No.
Actually, we've got someone in the back room with us too. Oh, there goes Phil. And now we are now maxed out on the number of creators. So the next person who joins, I'm kicking out Chuck. Phil, please, great to meet you. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Phil Hester, and I've been making comics probably as long as most of you have been alive. Maybe I'm the oldest. If it weren't for Andy Parks inking my story, I would probably be the oldest guy in this book. But I'm drawing.
Are you older than Grant, Phil?
Oh well, no. Well, no. Anyway, I'm drawing a story written by Austin Hamblin. Well, I'm done. I've drawn it. Andy's still inking it, but it's a great story. It's a nice little. It starts out as a slice of life story, and then takes a real hard, sharp left turn. And I think overall, this book's about food. But the story that Austin wrote has a nice kind of EC flavor to it, and you will definitely say "Good Lord, choke" on the last panel.
That is fantastic. I can't wait to read it. And a slice of life that makes a hard turn. That's a lot like real life, isn't it? So
yeah,
we can all relate to that. Well, fantastic, Phil. It's great to know you, and great to be in a book alongside you. Big fan, of course. And now I'd like to introduce Neil. Neil, thanks for joining us. Did I read that right? The comics Jew?
One of many. Yeah.
One of many. I was going to say, you're not the only comics Jew. Right?
No, just
he's the comics
Jew.
Jew, but he's one of many, but he's the comics Jew.
No. I'm a comics Jew.
Got it. Well, yeah, tell us about yourself. Tell us what your contribution is to Pots and Panels. And
thanks. Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me in. So I am a writer type guy, and Chuck was kind enough to invite me into this book. And I actually had done a food comic book for Dark Horse a couple years back called Savor with my buddies John Broglia and Frank Reynoso, and it's a cool YA adventure story about an adventuring chef who leaves her island home to learn how to fight and cook, and then comes back and finds that it's been taken over by demon pirates, and she has to fight her way through 5 restaurants to defeat them and save the island. So it was a fun coming of age adventure story, and so this was a great opportunity for John and Frank and I to do another story set in that world. Actually, it's actually set in the middle. Well, not in the middle, right at the beginning of the graphic novel. It's in a gap in the graphic novel. So it fills in a nice little scene there. And the name of the story is, oh my God, I forget it every time. It's something about how to cook for 20 sailors, or how Savor started a mutiny on her very first week. And it's about her traveling away from the island and her first chance to cook a meal for the sailors on the boat that she's on. And so there's a lot of fun, food, puns, and fights, and I hope people like it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for that intro. I feel like I've got 10 hard acts to follow, so I've got nothing that impressive, but I probably have the least comics writing experience of most of us. I've done a fair bit in other aspects of the industry. I used to own Chimera Comics, was a chain of comic book stores that I famously gave away in a contest in 2019. So I had my 15 minutes of fame after that. And I've done the graphic novels Magnificent and Cellar Door, which was an anthology, both of which were on Kickstarter, and both of which were successful on Kickstarter. I've run 9 successful campaigns. I recently broke into film. My feature film debut was called Sin Eater, also food themed. In fact, now I'm kind of kicking myself for not doing a Sin Eater story for Pots and Panels. That would have been perfect. About a woman whose jaw was wired shut. And then finally, my new movie just came out this month. It's called Name the Demon, and that's coming to Kickstarter next week for the Blu-ray release of that. But Name the Demon's been far and away the most commercially successful thing I've ever done, and it was kind of a surprise because I never thought I'd make anything anyone would like. I just wanted to make things that I liked, and so that was exciting. For Pots and Panels, I drew on my family's history and some neighborhood legends to write the story A la Familia, about a chef who has to make a deal with his mobster brother to open his beloved restaurant, only to have it twisted toward the mob's dark aims. And so we're going to find out whether he's going to give in or whether the mafia will get their just desserts at the end of the story. So A la Familia, I'm very proud of. Yeah. I got to do it with artist Dan Doherty and colorist Wesley Wong, who are two creators that I admire the hell out of and I think are fantastic. And they're both super nice guys. It's by far the best looking story I've personally written. There were some great stories in Cellar Door, of course, but of things I've written, I think it's just beautiful. So I'm very excited to share with everyone. And just a reminder to everyone who's joining us late, because I don't expect everyone to hang out the whole live stream. Please leave us a comment. We love hearing you. I'll feature your comment on the screen. If you have questions, we'll answer your questions. If you haven't already backed Pots and Panels, do it, because by the end of the live stream, I will be giving a prize away. I will give a copy of Cellar Door, which is my sci-fi horror graphic novel anthology. Chuck was nice enough to give away a copy of Bitter Souls, so I wanted to follow his lead and throw some of my work out there as a thank you to everyone. So, and don't forget too that if you back Pots and Panels on Kickstarter, we have instant rewards. You get Taste of Death instantly. We'll send you a digital comic book, Taste of Death, and you get that even if you back only $1. So we have
written by Christoph Rodriguez and drawn by Jay Red.
That's right. And it's terrific. So that's the second of the 4 free stories. The other 2 are actually on the Kickstarter page. We have a few more people trying to join us here. So I am going to remove Chuck, who volunteered to be our sacrificial lamb. Chuck, now you have to go share this link with everybody.
I already did, but I'll stay in the waiting room.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, hang out in the waiting room, because when we get a tough question, I'm going to add you back and make you answer it. So I'll remove you there, and I think we'll have some other people try to join us in a second. Then we got a comment from Franklin Malley, who pointed out I did not give a shout out to my letterer Chuck Malley, who I've never met before until this, and Chuck Satterley hooked me up with him, and he was fantastic and so excited to work with. Honestly, by far and away the best letterer I've ever had on anything, because I've always tried to letter it myself, and that was really pathetic. So this is much better. So yes, thank you for that.
Yep. Chuck Malley also letters both of my stories, and we also worked on a graphic novel together a few years ago. I absolutely adore Chuck. He's one of my favorite people and one of my favorite letterers. So this was a big deal for me to get to work, another chance to work with him. So thank you, Chuck, if you're out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So now with that said, now that we've all introduced ourselves and our Pots and Panels stories, now I can tell you guys the truth. There is no one else in the waiting room. I just wanted to get rid of Chuck. I'm playing. He's I keep getting alerts someone's trying to get in here. Yes. And Malley has, I guess we're getting a comment that he's done 13 different stories in Pots and Panels. So far and away, he has given us the most lettering, I think, of anybody by himself. But now I thought let's open up to some questions. I want to know your last meal on Earth. What's it going to be? And what comic are you reading alongside your last meal before we send you to the electric chair? Jason, kick us off.
Okay. Last meal on Earth. I'm just gonna go because I know this is gonna get under Chuck's skin. I'm gonna go with New York style pizza. So I'm gonna stick with hometown pizza and comic book. That's a difficult question. So I'm looking at my stack of books on my shelf here. I'm just gonna go with my Joe Kubert collection of Enemy Ace stories,
Nice.
which I love. And anything by joke over it actually. But I think that would be the book.
All right, very good. I understand Phil might have to leave us early, so Phil, you get to go next. The important thing is that I go last, so I can have the most time to think of an answer. Phil, your last meal on Earth, and what comic are you reading while you're enjoying your final meal?
That's tough for me because I'm in the middle of a diet, and
Me too.
there's a lot of stuff I've wanted for a long time. So I have been daydreaming about food quite a bit. But if I had to narrow it down, I might, instead of a meal, I might just skip to dessert and have my wife's homemade cinnamon rolls that she makes, which I haven't had in 5 years.
What? You haven't had a cheat day in 5 years? What kind of?
I cheat, but I don't cheat with sweets.
Okay.
So
Got it.
So my pancreas is on like 1/8 of a tank.
Oh,
so
sorry.
I don't want to go all the way to E. So yeah, I don't cheat with sweets. So it would probably be, if I knew I was going to die anyway, I would eat the pan of cinnamon rolls. And then as far as the comic I would read, it's tough because I would think I would read a new comic. I would like to try, I would like to try something new right before I went, because the stuff I really love, it already lives up here. So I would take a chance on something new.
No, that's really nice. I like that. So Emily, while Phil is downing a pan of cinnamon rolls, what are you eating, and what are you reading while you're eating it?
Okay, so my dad's already laughing. So when you go to like Target or Walmart or Publix or whatever, and you go into like the pasta aisle, and there are these like blue boxes that are like $1 each, pastaroni.
Okay.
There's specifically one called garlic and herbs that he can vouch. I eat like every single day. It's my favorite food. I don't eat anything else. It's that and plain bread slices. So I would probably eat that. And as for a comic, something from the Cook Price run of the IDW My Little Pony comics.
All right. See, you had a very specific answer. The rest of us were a little like, how do I pick my favorite comic book? You were just like, nope, I've got My Little Pony.
I know my favorite comic books.
So bread, and there's other food besides bread, right? Like, they've made other since then.
But like,
I somehow produced the whitest human being on the face of the planet.
Okay.
Is basically what.
God, no one understands me because
what kind of bread? I think maybe that's the key. Like, what kind of bread are we talking about?
Okay, so that like thick sliced like artisan bread, that kind.
Right. So we're not talking about Wonder Bread or anything. Like,
no. I have class.
I get it.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay. See, he sees.
Yeah. Neil's got you. He understands. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the rest of us that don't.
Thanks.
Let's see now, Geoffrey, you've been quiet there behind that very handsome beard, and we are going to do a vote in a moment as to who has the best beard on the live stream. Jeff, tell me your last meal.
My last meal, I think, at this stage of my life will be a corned beef and pastrami sandwich from Katz's Deli in New York.
Ooh.
Along with a chocolate egg cream so I can get the dessert in. I see you, Phil.
Can someone tell me the difference between an egg cream and a regular milkshake? Where's my Neil, the comic Jew? Can you please tell me?
Chocolate, right?
Yeah. There's no egg or cream in this thing.
Yeah,
right.
One's got chocolate.
Yeah. So that would be my last meal. The comic, Phil had such a good answer, but at the same time, I think I would take this time to reread Martial Law by Pat Mills and Kevin O'Neill.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. Now, Jonathan, my layout changed when I added Chuck back, so I'm sorry if I skip over anybody, but we'll get to everyone. Jonathan, Chance, you tell me your last meal on Earth.
You know what? The thing is, being out here in the US, I've been here for about over 15 years, but there's certain foods that I really crave, and you just can't even if you tried to produce a meal, you couldn't do it. I mean, even if you went to like a British pub or something, they've either got to somehow bring all the stuff over, or somehow it can't be done. So I guess I would have probably something like a Sunday roast, which is a very specific British sort of. Every Sunday we've had like a really nice savoury like afternoon dinner, and it normally consists of beef, gravy, roast potatoes, carrots, Yorkshire pudding, which is a specific like British thing, or I'd have I think it's called a beef Wellington. I've only had it once, and it was really delicious. It was like beef, and then there's a pastry around it,
Mhm.
and it was really delicious. You can put gravy on that too if you wanted to. But that beef combination with the nice crispy like pastry is pretty delicious. So I think that'd be, because I only had it once. I think I want that again. and what I would read is I would have, and this is kind of tough because there's obviously so many good comics, but I remember like distinctly seeing, I can never pronounce his name, but Bill Sienkiewicz, probably didn't say his name right.
Sienkiewicz? I think it's
Sienkiewicz,
Sienkiewicz.
Yeah, thank you. The funny thing is, it's become popular now over the last God knows how many years, but I remember distinctly reading New Mutants 21, I think it was, and seeing that art, and it was so beautiful, and seeing like it was hand painted and everything. Such a rare thing. Even then, when I was 9 reading it, thinking, wow, this is so atmospheric. There was nothing like this. It isn't like a normal comic. It really kind of spoke to me. It's probably one of those key moments where I wanted to get into art, art college and all that, which I did for a few years after seeing something like that from a young age. So probably New Mutants 21, or maybe even the 13-issue run of Tales of Terror from Eclipse Comics, which was in the 80s.
Wow, fantastic taste in comics and in food. Beef Wellington is spectacular.
Mm.
Can I ask you? I got to ask a tough question now, because I've been picking on Neil a little bit. I'm gonna ask you a race question now. We're gonna get real serious. Are you offended as an English person that everyone says English food is bad?
No, because thankfully we have people like Gordon Ramsay, who is, I guess, he is like the spokesperson for us with all that aggression and anger to prove that, yes, a lot of food is bland, and I'll be the first to say that too. And sometimes it's just savory, but nothing else. And probably we don't do spice as well as obviously, we do here and everything. But I think with people like him, there's enough people like him that can show that there is enough stuff out there, but I think it's a case of you have to dig around to find it, and for someone like him, he'll put it out there and it's like, wow, I didn't even know those foods existed, or those meals, sort of thing. So it takes someone like that to be our spokesperson, say, what, there actually is some good foods that we do over there. So yeah, it doesn't affect me though. So
all right, fair enough. I'm glad to hear it. We mean nothing by it. I enjoyed food when I was in
doesn't bother
when I
me.
was in England.
Yeah.
We've got at least one fan out there. English food is amazing. So you're
There
not
you
alone.
go.
I skipped over Pete then. Pete, your last meal and your comic book while you read it.
Sure thing. Kind of following along with Jonathan and getting foods that are very hard to find after moving. Baltimore, which is where I'm from, has these things called burger cookies. They're shortbread cookies with a dollop of fudge on top of them and enough MSG to kill a horse.
I've actually made those.
I love those things, and I would basically have about 2 bricks, and that would be what kills me. And I would love it every moment of it. I miss them terribly after having moved away. And for my comic, I'd probably reread Craven's Last Hunt. That was actually kind of like the first story that I can remember reading when I was young and going, wow, this is serious. This is super, super serious.
Well, that is a great choice. I'm personally favorite Spidey story of mine, certainly. So absolutely.
Do you guys want me to keep account of if I own a page from your desert island book or not? Because so far I got 2 of them.
Which ones?
Craven's Last Hunt and Martial Law, both.
Damn.
Whoa,
All right.
What martial law page do you own?
I own multiple martial law pages.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna need to see. I'm gonna need to see this for science then.
Yeah, just go over to my
Mr.
comic
Hester.
art
And,
stand.
and if I may, I can also recommend the prose novelization of Raven's Last Hunt, written by some dude in a lion's hat. So enjoy that as well.
I love it. Well, and that seems like you're volunteering to go next, Neil.
Oh, sure. So,
Oh, real quick, we have a new creator has joined us in the studio. Laverne, did I say that right? I hope I don't butcher your name.
It's Laverne.
Laverne, I'm sorry. How
My
are you?
mother didn't know to spell.
Good to see you tonight, Laverne. Thanks for
See you guys.
joining us. Before we continue with our current line of questioning, can you just real quick tell us what your story is in Pots and Panels? Just the title
Oh,
and
it's
logline?
it's Grub Run, and it's a revival or a guest starring of a character I created back in the '90s for Blackball, when they were going to do a bunch of stuff with Keith Giffen and Simon Bisley and that martial law guy.
Very cool. Very cool. Glad to have you in the book. We're going around right now. I'm going to give you time to think about the question. We're going around to talk about what our last meal would be and what comic you would take with you to read when you're eating your last meal. So you've got a few moments to think about it. But before we go any further, Chuck wants me, because I banished him from to make room for Laverne, to mention that Laverne is the father of modern comics coloring. So you've got quite the reputation that precedes you. He's the founder of Digital Chameleon. And Chuck, if you're out there listening, you can comment. You don't need to text me. I have to keep my eyes on the road. So please go ahead and leave the comment. But Laverne, it's really a pleasure and honor to be in this book with you. So many more qualified creators than myself. Neil, you had a couple extra seconds to think about it. Now you got to give it to me. Your last meal, your last read.
So it's tough because like I'd love to say pizza, I'd love to say some sort of sandwich, but I'll be honest, like my last meal would be Thanksgiving dinner, right? Like I just want a solid, like traditional Thanksgiving dinner. It's my favorite meal of the year. Sit down and just enjoy that. And then to read, since Thanksgiving is kind of like a comfort meal for me, I would want the comfort food equivalent of like a good long comic. So probably Jeff Smith's Bone.
Ooh, all right.
That like one volume edition.
You're trying to draw out this last meal. I think someone doesn't want to bite the bullet.
You're not. None of you are smart. None of you are smart. Like take your time, enjoy it.
It's a good point.
And if Bone is not around, of course, I would want to reread Savor by Neil Kleid, John Bruglia, and Frank Reynoso, available from Dark Horse Comics now. You can get it on the Dark Horse Comic website.
And Chuck says that Neil is one of his favorite comic writers ever.
Thanks, Jeff.
We have some creators, trying to enter the studio as well, by the way. But I can only fit 10 people, including the back stage. So I'm kind of trying to cycle some of us here. Phil, are you leaving? Is that a wave goodbye? Thank you for joining us, Phil. It's an honor. My brother especially is a big fan. He's very excited about this. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. Howie, I saw you dip for a moment there, but
I got puppy duties.
Totally understand. I've got infant duty myself.
Yeah.
Tell me, Howie, your last meal, your book of choice.
Oh, it is a tough one. I'm gonna go with some form of lamb. I don't care what it is. I love lamb. So if I gotta go, how about Cooked by Gordon Ramsay to bring it back? Because I've had that before.
Damn.
Luckily, not directly him, but somebody, whoever he hired, right at the restaurant. It was at his New York one. I think it's not around anymore. It was years back. And then whatever green stuff that I drank, it was like a little bowl. It was the best thing I've ever tasted in my life. I don't know what it was. My wife knows, but it's green. I would never normally eat this. If you see it, I don't. So that's on there. And then banana cream pie, because my mom always made the best. It's just that's my go-to. I always beg for it to be made every year. So yeah.
That's so funny you say that. I'm baking a banana cream pie right after the live stream.
Yeah. That's awesome. It is the best.
Hey, we've got Austin Janowski. You can join now. I kicked out Chuck Satterley to make room for you, so feel free to try one more time if you want to join the live stream. Sorry you couldn't get in before. And Howie, sorry to cut you off there. I just didn't want.
Oh, no problem at all. And I guess for the last comics, I got some newspaper comics of Dick Tracy that I'd go through, newspaper style that I clipped and saved because I like Dick Loker's art, and they never made a proper reprint of those. And then also, I'm just a huge fan of The Dark Knight Returns, so I just love that. I love that book. I love how it looks, and that would be my that I'd cheat and use too,
Right. That's another nice dense one too. There's a lot of
Yeah.
words in that one.
Yeah, it's just awesome to me.
Yeah, fantastic. And we have now joining us now is Mark. Mark, how you doing tonight?
Hey guys,
Mark.
what's going on?
Mark,
Hey.
before I ask Laverne for his last meal and favorite comic book to read during his last meal, what's your tell us about your contribution to Pots and Panels?
So I actually have two contributions to the book. I drew the story Cousins, written by Jason Mikulski. So we got that one in there, and then I wrote and drew a 8-page story of my character Dr. Goyle, entitled Dr. Goyle versus Pizza, that was colored by my buddy Wolf Hansen. So I've got two stories in there. I can't wait for everybody to see them. Should be pretty cool.
Fantastic. And you'll have a few seconds to think about my next question. Before I give it to Laverne, just a quick reminder for those of you just joining us, we're going to give away a hardcover copy of my graphic novel, Cellar Door. Chuck gave away a copy of Bitter Souls when we hit to 200 backers. So I want to give a little something back as well to anyone who participates in the live stream. So I'm going to pick a backer at random. So if you haven't already done so, go ahead and back Pots and Panels, even at $1. And you could win. If you back at $1, you also get an instant reward. You get Taste of Death from Chuck Rodriguez, Christoph Rodriguez, excuse me. Chuck's name is just always on my mind now because I talk to him more than I talk to my parents. So please do, back the campaign. Also, when we get to 225 backers, we'll unlock our next milestone bonus, and you'll get another free comic. We've already done that once when we hit 200. So you're going to get 3 free comics just for backing even $1. And you could, of course, win a hardcover. So, Laverne, I'm sorry. Without further ado, please, your last meal.
Okay. I'm curious, what's the setup? Why is it our last meal?
Well, would it help you answer the question if I told you were on death row?
Ooh, okay, death row. Let's
assume they can make whatever you want, though, and they can plug it from anywhere in time and space.
Well, I like the idea of the Thanksgiving dinner, but I wouldn't choose Thanksgiving.
Not if I'm on death row. I mean, that's a lot for death row.
Oh yeah, no, I'd choose my Baba's Christmas dinner.
Oh, and what's on the menu? Tell me.
It was for Ukrainian Christmas. And it would be, what is it now? There was a meatless dish for each one of the apostles. And no, I'm not religious.
Well, it's still a great theme, even if it's
it's a lot of food. And after that, there would be another full table of desserts and stuff. So I think after that, I would be so overcome with gluttony that they wouldn't have to execute me.
That was very similar to Phil Hester's answer. He would kill himself with a diabetic coma by eating a pan of his wife's cinnamon rolls. So, you guys have taken the death row thing very, very. I didn't realize how important the premise was going to be to my.
I remember having dinner at my grandmother's, and my stomach was so distended that it was like I was tightening my muscles. I was so packed. That was a good meal.
It sounds like I can't believe from what you've described how similar Ukrainian and Italian Christmases are, because it was the same way where there were as many dessert choices as there were entree choices. It was fantastic.
And I'm not even getting into all of the alcohol floating around there too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, definitely. No shortage of wine and vodka at the table.
Oh yeah.
At Christmas time. Before I give it to Mark to tell us his last meal, have just been joined by Gerald von Stoddard. Hopefully, I didn't butcher your name, Gerald. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, you said that absolutely correct.
Oh, fantastic! Well, that's just because I'm just such a big fan. Can you tell us about your contribution to Pots and Panels? What's your story?
Well, absolutely. I'm the artist on The Vegetable, written by Brad and Lisa of the comic book couples counseling team.
Nice.
So yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to get back to you in just a second to tell us your last meal. But Mark, I've bought you all the time I can. It's time you're in the hot seat, literally, because now we're in an electric chair thanks to Laverne.
God, for last meal, I think it would have to be either. I'd probably have to go with like some like barbecue, like like some Carolina barbecue, or maybe some Texas barbecue,
Okay.
or oh boy, it's like too tough. My mom's meatloaf, or my wife having some like a dish with my wife's marinara. It'd be probably down between those three, and it's too tough of a choice. Those three are like the the top tier.
I gotcha. Yeah. Marinara is like sacred in my family. It's like the holy substance. It's water to wine. It's marinara.
Wow.
All right, Gerald. You hopefully it's not too much pressure because Mark picked 3 different foods to answer my question. So I don't think you can go wrong. But tell us your last meal and what comic you're reading while you're eating it.
Well, I just want to make sure. I live in Italy, so I have to make sure no one in Italy is listening because they'll kill me. But my favorite food, and I would eat every day, is shepherd's pie.
Oh, I love shepherd's pie.
That's just my absolute favorite, and it's very hard to get a good one in America, but in Europe it's not so difficult. And
Very good.
And while I'm eating that, probably because I've been listening and I was really thinking about it, my God, that's a tough one. But if I really had to, because it's been a staple for years, would be Alan Moore's run on Swamp Thing.
Oh, I didn't get the comic question.
We'll bounce back to you for that one, Mark. Gerald,
Okay.
I see you got the memo on we can prolong your life by picking the wordiest, longest graphic novel that you could name. So I think picking that entire run, and by Alan Moore no less, you've bought yourself an extra hour or 2 on Earth, I think.
Okay, great.
Mark, your comic, not favorite, but the comic you read on death row with your last meal. What is it?
Oh, I think I probably would have to go either with Kirby's Commandy, or maybe Bill Matlow and Michael Golden's original Micronauts run.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. All right. I love it. I got plenty of time to think about my answer. That's why I volunteered to moderate so that I could come up with the best answer to every question. I would have my father's sausage and peppers. He makes sausage and peppers and potatoes, Italian sausage. And I would, with a glass of his homemade wine, he makes wine in his garage. And you can get on the wine list relatively easily, but you can also be kicked off the wine list pretty easily too. So, so you got to be careful with that. Don't tell them you prefer white wine. You won't be on the list again. And what I would read is I would probably read Kingdom Come by Mark Waid and Alex Ross, because I think it's it's epic, right? So Laverne and I were just talking a moment ago about not being religious, but there's still something about like those biblical themes that are very like they resonate with you. I'm what you might call like a recovering Catholic, so I've got all that like up in here. I hear I'm being excommunicated after my movie that just came out, so that's probably probably I'm on the chopping block. But yeah, that still resonates with me, like the biblical themes of Kingdom Come and the meta themes about the comic universe. So
have you ever seen the adaptation that DC did during their Treasury days in the mid-70s of the Bible that had the layouts by Joe Kubert and then the finished art by Nestor Redondo?
I have not. I think I've
Oh.
seen panels of it, but I've never read
It
it.
is. I have like 3 copies of it. I'm a huge Nestor Redondo fan.
Oh wow.
And it's just like amazing.
Well, I'm gonna have to check it out. Is it like in print anywhere? Is it something I can get my hands on?
I think a lot of times you can find copies on eBay still.
Copies on eBay
out there, but it hasn't been in print for a long time. But it's gorgeous.
Wow. All right, I'll check it out for sure. That sounds terrific. I've been always wanted to do, one of my like dream projects would be to do an illustrated Dante's Inferno. I always thought would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, same here. I was actually Raphael Kayanan and I worked up a presentation on one, and it was gorgeous enough as it is. But Raphael went and bound the presentation so that we sent a hardcover book to the editors to pitch it to.
Oh,
wow.
They still
that would have been amazing.
How do you say no to something like that? That's ridiculous.
We were very surprised.
Well, Laverne, if you ever want to bring that to Kickstarter, hit me up because I'll run your Kickstarter campaign and we'll make it happen.
Oh yeah, Raphael's work on that was I don't know. It was something else. It was when you're working on your regular stuff, and then everything just seems to click sometimes, and the work you're doing just rises to another level.
Yeah.
Yeah, his stuff was like that. He's quite an underrated artist, big time.
I'm getting chills thinking about it. That's fantastic.
I actually live in the city of Dante, so it's not hard to find. There's actually a couple of great adaptations that are like very epic. Actually, my 6-year-old is obsessed with one of them, the illustrated Dante's Inferno.
That resonates with me because I was in Florence a year or two ago, and
that's where I live.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. You live in my favorite city on earth, I think.
Yeah,
my wife and I went to Italy last year fall, and loved it. Would keep wanting to go back.
Yeah, I would go back. I would buy a house there and live there like during the summer or during the winter or whatever. I would.
All right. You can rent my condo. It's okay.
Oh, all right, perfect, great. Now I know someone in Florence. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And Chuck, our wonderful letterer, the man who's literally put words in our mouths, is here. Thank you, Chuck. How are you? Chuck, can you hear me okay? Chuck is a man of few words. He writes, but he does not speak.
Hello.
There he is.
Nice to actually. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Nice to actually.
You're going in and out, Chuck.
Nice to see the faces behind everybody.
Oh.
Well, it's nice to meet you. Chuck did if you're just joining us, Chuck lettered 13 stories in Pots and Panels. So that's more than 20% of the book, I think, is you. So thank you very much. Chuck, we're talking about our last meal on Earth and what comic we would read. What's your last meal and what would you read?
Why am I getting everything double here?
All right, we'll give you a minute to get your tech situated. Quick reminder to everyone at home: we are only 8 backers away from our next milestone. So even at $1, we'll unlock the next milestone. You'll get 2 free digital comics just from the milestones. You get an instant digital reward just for backing the campaign. Even if the campaign's not successful, it doesn't matter. You get it right away. You'll get a backer only update with a free story. So, and there's 2 other Pots and Panels stories on the Kickstarter page. And there's a link to sign up for updates. And if you sign up for that, you get another one. So you can get like a dozen free digital comics right now. Plus, I'm going to pick a backer to win a hardcover edition of my graphic novel, Cellar Door, by the end of the stream. So if you haven't
backed enough,
remember, there's a Bitter Souls. That's right.
We get enough of them. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, we gave away one when we hit the 200 level, but Chuck has more, I think. So I think we should make Chuck give away more copies of Bitter Souls. I promised we'd have a beard off, and so now it's time. We need to vote, and you can vote for yourself, but be honest about it. You know what I mean? We lost. Who did I lose that had a great beard? I lost. Oh, geez.
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, that's right.
Yeah.
He had the very handsome beard. He gets my vote. Emily, you're next. Who's your vote? Best beard, not yourself.
I can't say myself. Are you serious?
No, don't. I mean, you can, but like I said, it would, be honest about who you really think has the best beard.
I don't know. My pick was gonna be me.
Your dad's gonna be real offended if you don't pick him. That is all I'm
Oh
saying.
yeah, I think so.
Fine, I'll pick my dad.
Oh, you don't have to.
Whatever.
It's fine.
Pick my
More
dad.
dessert for you, but you didn't have to do that. It's fine.
Well, Pete, who do you think deserves the best? You've got a vote from the audience.
Tara.
Yeah,
Well, thank you, Tara. Member of the Emily Army there.
It's been my best friend since I was 7.
I'd go with Howie. I like Howie's beard quite a bit.
Howie,
Oh, thank you. Wow, I got one. I didn't even know I'd get one. I mean, it's not. It's a form of beard.
It's the appropriate answer I usually give people. Thank you. I grew it myself.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I like
yeah. Thank God, because God took away my hair and gave me the beard. So even now, I was looking like you look like a thumb otherwise if you're bald.
I'm pretty sure you can't blame God on that. I think you have to blame your mother. I think that's where you get.
Oh yeah, my Pap was bald.
Yes. Yeah.
And then my mom would be like, "No, he wasn't. Pap was bald. Pap has the same hair I do. My dad had hair, but my Pap was it was definitely bad." Which she goes, "He was not bald," and I was like, "Well, I don't know that."
Yeah, moms have a way of exaggerating sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, Howie, since we're on you, your vote. Best beard on this live stream tonight.
Well, I won't vote for myself. Pete's beard is amazing, right? It almost seems unfair. And yeah, Gerald has a condo in Florence, though, so he gets my vote.
Well,
if I can rent the condo in Florence,
I will say,
beard. Yes.
I know I didn't vote for Gerald, but I will say this: Gerald has the kind of beard I want to grow up to have.
Well, then I'll vote for Gerald.
Nice.
The old man beard. Okay, sure. Thanks, guys.
Dude, it's a silver fox.
I didn't say old man. I said Florence.
Don't even front like you're not a silver fox.
I'm a fox. Maybe silver golem.
Yeah.
A silver golem. Well, Gerald, you got Laverne's vote, so you're next. You tell us, who would you vote for?
Oh man, well Jeffrey would have got it, but he bailed, so I'm gonna go with Pete. Except Jonathan's is classy. Jonathan's got a nice, tight, classy beard. He takes care of that beard. Pete's like wild man. I like the wild man beard. But you know what? I'm gonna go with Jonathan. Jonathan's got a classy. He takes care of that beard.
It's well groomed. It's very well groomed.
Well groomed.
Thank you.
Mine is what happens when you work from home for 16 years.
I'm on year 4, so I need to catch up a little bit, I think. All right, Mark, I don't think we've heard. Oh, wait, no, I've been going with whoever gets the vote. So, Jonathan, your vote, best beard on the show.
I was going to say that Jeffrey's the guy that was on because he had this very long beard, and I've had a beard since, I don't know, 13, 14 years. But I mean, he has one of those beards that I don't know why, but I've never gone that long before, but I admire it that people can go that long and go dedication to having a long beard like that. Maybe one day though.
Very good. I like it. And Mark, now your turn. You've been silent. I see you've been calculating though. You've been measuring. What do you got?
Well, since I'm doing this on my phone, everyone is like this big. So I'm like, who the hell's got a beard? As a person who has never been, successful in growing much facial hair that actually looked decent, it's too tough for me to make the call. But Jonathan's got the, he's got the nice beard, but how he's wearing the fedora, so I gotta I gotta go with a hat wearing man.
Hey, thank you, my friend.
As someone who's got who's wearing a hat almost 24/7 anymore because he has no hair.
Exactly. That's why I got a lot of hats. I got a lot of them. The sun is our enemy.
Technically, I have quite a few hats too, but they were for wearing during work meetings.
Yeah.
So it's most of the time I've got my telescope over there.
Yeah. We just pile them anywhere.
And that just leaves Chuck Malley. Chuck, tell us best beard.
Well, about a month ago, I shaved mine off, but it was down to here.
Whoa!
I gotta go with Pete.
I would have voted for you.
Yeah, I had it pretty rather long, five years or something.
Wow.
But
Wow. Awesome.
got married last year, and she likes it a little cleaner shaven.
Yeah, you know who's boss now. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, now that we've gotten around for the best beard, I'm running out of material, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. So, questions? Yeah, Chuck, what do you got?
Being that I did get in here late, I didn't get a chance to say my last meal or favorite comic.
Oh yeah, let's have it. Thanks. That's precious time I need. That's great.
Yeah. Well, I'm big, but I don't eat a lot. And if my last meal, I would want a chocolate silk cream pie.
Oh, I love chocolate silk pie.
And for a comic, I bought it years ago. It's actually like a larger Marvel book. It's The Death of Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I know the one.
Classic.
Yeah.
The reasoning,
classic.
I have to give my reasoning, I guess, is that I'm not sure when it came out, 84 or something. And in 83, my little brother died of cancer.
Oh.
So that book really hit home, and it's really, it means a lot to me.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. That's a good reminder of why comics are so important to all of us. You know, they've touched us all, and you know, someone earlier pointed out that they got into comics, you know, for the fabulous wealth involved, but most of us do it because we just love these, and you know, and you love them enough, you can't just read them. You feel like compelled to make something. So yeah, it's really beautiful.
My brother was an artist, cartoonist artist, and he always wanted to get into comic books, and he didn't have a chance. He was 23 when he passed away.
I have a 23-year-old brother, and he's my best friend, so I totally understand.
He was my best friend. Yeah, I'm a year and a half older than he was. And down the road, I answered an ad in the back of an indie comic, and got a lettering job. And I thought, well, this is so cool, you know, maybe I can, I'll do the lettering, get into follow my, you know, what my brother wanted to do and get into the comics, because I had been an engineering draftsman for years. So I, you know, hand lettering and a sign painter. I'm a sign painter. And so I got this small press by Tim Tyler. I don't know if you heard of him. And I took it to a convention. It was in '92. And my first convention, I got hired by Comico and Marvel. So I've been working since about '92 in the industry. I worked for five or 6 years with Warp Graphics, ElfQuest, their second series, and also their Future Quest stories. And thanks, Jason. Yeah,
I haven't been able to distract any of you yet with these comments, but I finally got one.
And I somehow in the way back met up with Chuck Satterley, and I lettered a story for him when he did a Agony Acres, and that's how I knew Chuck. And eventually, I just have been picked up, and I'm back into the industry again. I'm lettering again. Currently doing, well, I've been very busy with pots and panels.
Yeah, we've kept you. We sure have.
Anybody watching this, it's worth it. The stories are awesome. I probably got to actually see and read more stories than anybody but the people putting it together.
That's a good point.
And awesome stories, awesome artwork, nice variety. I haven't seen a bad one yet, or one that I'd go, They've all been awesome. And I've been doing yeah, everyone's saying what they're doing in industry. I just finished up lettering a 90-page. Well, I finished up a little bit ago. We're waiting to get it to figure out how we're going to get it printed with Scotty Biederstadt and the Troll Lords. I did a 90-page graphic novel for him. We've been working on it, and I just finished up 130-page autobiography by William Mesner Lopes. His autobiography.
Oh,
He
he's a good guy.
He had drawn it years ago by request from from a request from DC, and then all of a sudden he just I don't know, budget, or he just wasn't as important as the new hot people on the, and it got sidetracked. But he had all the artwork done, and through some other people that I know and have met and work with, I got contacted by Mike Jones that does Yeet Presents, a comic, a fanzine, and had some help from Tom Orzakowski, and we got it set up. And I just finished that, and I'm really excited about that coming out because it is really something. It's really it's a wonderful story he did, but it's also sad. And I'm hoping the best for him. He's doing a lot better now, and so that's kind of what I've been doing. And like I said, and I'm still I think I got like four more stories for Pots and Panels to finish getting matched up. We're waiting on some colors. They should be done. I should be getting them probably within a week or so here, I imagine.
Do you wait for the color to do the lettering, or?
Well, I actually just use whatever they've put up as a JPEG or whatever of the inked work, and I put it into the template and I do the lettering,
right,
just so that it's done. And then when the colored pages come in, I relink them, and I adjust all the lettering and put it where it needs to be. And a lot of times, because lettering, if these are awesome, beautifully colored work, I change the lettering around and colors and such to because you want it to all look good. So yeah, I in these cases I lettered almost all the stories. I think that all except maybe one before I even had the colored pages.
Wow,
cool.
I wanted to be on top of everything, and I'm probably I don't really have a lot of other work currently. Like I said, I just finished up the other work. So,
well, I'll tell you what, Chuck, when we sent you my story to letter, the running joke was Chuck Satterley, the lesser Chuck, said to us, he's like, you guys want to take a bet on how long it's going to take Mally to get these done? Because my bet is within the hour. And you sure as heck, you lived up to your reputation and had it done, I think, by morning. So
I learned about deadlines years ago. When I was lettering and by hand back then, I lettered a couple of issues for Everett Hartzell on Razor, and these were lettered on an overlay, which I then had to take to the library to copy off on paper, and then I had to hand cut them out, paste them to the original inked artwork, and then touch up with ink all around the balloons. And I did 4 issues of Razor and Razor Burn for him, and all 4 of them were a 24-hour turnaround.
What were you using to paste them onto the board? I remember back in the day when we had that wax machine in the corner that was.
I used a glue stick. That's I'm down here in the middle of nowhere, and I didn't know what was going on. He had heard of me through Tim Tyler and them, and so I got the pages delivered by courier or whatever.
Yeah,
and because I'm about an hour south of Chicago.
Okay.
And he got the pages delivered to me, and there was a note in there on the first one. It says, "Hey, can you have these in 24 hours back to me?" But oh my, I didn't get much sleep, but I did it. And then I became okay. Then I'd get a couple months later, "Hey, I'm running behind again."
Oh, jeez.
You do this.
Yeah, that's the reward.
So, but he paid well, for doing that. I have to say, he was right on top of stuff.
Sounds like a lot of the jobs I did inking at DC. Hey, can you turn around these 14 pages in the next 4 days?
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
I wanted to break in as an inker. I have inked.
Same here.
I actually, Chuck's the lesser Chuck, his Agony Acres, the very first issue, Ron Stern was the artist. I inked the issue and I inked the cover, and I've inked some Troll Lord stuff, and but it's like I started doing the lettering, and every time I would go to try and get a job, say, apply, hey, do you need an inker? And they're like, well, no, we don't need a letterer. I'm like, no. I'm thinking about being an inker. Well, we don't need a letterer. I'm like, ugh. So I relegated myself to being a letterer. But I also paint and I draw, and I am an artist, but not a comic artist. I draw realistic.
So you didn't start out in a studio. You were working on your own.
Yeah, I work all. Yeah, actually, when I was lettering the stories, my first work besides the Blood Rain for Tim Tyler was with Marvel. I did 3 different issues of What the, and I actually had a comic book shop, and I had my easel, which was in pieces, but it's over here. I had my easel set up behind the counter, and I was actually lettering at work because I didn't have a lot of customers down here.
Well, I started out as George Freeman's assistant. So we worked on a lot of different stuff because I remember George had developed this his version of a blue line painting from working on Captain Canuck and that, and so we had both been pulled into working on his Elric book for First Comics, and
so
they
good.
and they had to come up with a lot different ways, and I mean everything we did back then was by hand. So
all the lettering I used used rapidographs, and which was really a pain because you got to clean them constantly, and then you never guarantee they'll work right again. But I used rapidographs. I lettered actually with Marvel. I lettered on the pages, which was I didn't want to touch. I'm like, oh my gosh, And so I lettered the pages, and I got like half of them back, and they said, hey, you made mistakes. And so from that point on, I was so nervous. I actually had people around me, friends and everyone that would proofread it for me to make sure. And I've never had a page returned. Unless it's something like the misspelling of familia or something,
Oh yeah.
So Carmelo knows that one.
Yes, I do. My bad. Why is there a G in it? That makes no sense.
I actually was using Google Translate to see what was in some of the other stories, the cousins. No, not the cousin. There's a story where one of the stories in Pots and Panels is a gentleman that it's during the wartime, and he shows up at someone's house. I'm not sure if it's French or whatever, or they speak another language, and so a lot of the dialogue in the comic is in another language. And so I was using Google Translate to figure out what am I lettering. I want to know what I'm even lettering. And in the process, because of it, I was also using it for a little few in years. But when I typed in familia, it said family. I didn't look to see it said French, not Italian.
Yeah.
I didn't. So I'm just as much to blame there. I should have caught that too, and I didn't.
Yeah, I've been very tired. I had a baby 2 months ago, so I haven't slept in months now. And so I blame that for everything, including my poor spelling. So I've got an excuse. I want to do a quick shout out now to Travis Gibb, who joined us. Travis, thanks for being here. You want to tell us about your contribution to Pots and Panels?
I was under the impression that they would be some pie.
You get your pie at the end, Travis.
So I'm really not interested until this pie comes. That's why we're doing the pots, right? The pots are for the pie.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yes.
So what do you want to know from me? I do comics. I write comics. I do. See,
But
people
you wrote
are
a
leaving.
comic for Pots and
They
Panels,
didn't
yes?
get pie either.
You all get your pie when we get funded, okay? And I still got
My
another
series about
62% to go.
It's about pie. It's
Chocolate
about
cream.
cowboys and pies. What? That's all cowboys want is pie.
Cow pies or real pies?
No, real pies. Cowboys are looking for pies.
Got it.
Wait a minute. Do you mean cow pies?
No, not cow pies. Cowboys are looking for pies.
Got it.
Just they're not riding on Twinkies like those old Twinkie ads. They're real cowboys on horses, and they're looking for pies.
I love it.
It's about a girl who her mom was a woman of the night, as they used to say in the old days. You guys are talking about EfQuest, so some things that happen in there. Sexy stuff.
I would know what do you mean by woman of the night? I don't understand that.
Prostitute. What they do, and this is an interesting thing. It doesn't happen anymore, but back in the old days, a woman would sell herself for money. It's very strange.
Like she would lay bricks, or she would paint walls, or
they would bear child.
You could like a surrogate. Okay.
They didn't have to, have elections and talk about it. They just did it.
What do bears have to do with it? I'm confused.
Yeah. How do the bears factor in?
The bears?
I'm a little lost.
Yeah.
They're the ones that make the pies. It's fine.
Oh, I thought that was the Cowboys.
No, I thought it was the cow.
No, the Cowboys.
No, that's the cow pies.
Right.
You're getting confused. Okay. So the Cowboys are hunting the pies. The bears are making pies.
Okay.
The women of the night are making the babies to eat the pies. So one of them could be Goldilocks to figure out which one's too hot, so then they can serve the pies to other people to eventually make cow pies. It's a whole thing.
But who's making the bears?
It's an ecosystem. I see it.
This is how the Old West works. If you guys don't remember, I don't know what to tell you.
That's crazy.
It was in Young Guns too. Not a lot of people saw that.
No, that was like right before. That's like right before I was born. I just missed it.
Blaze of Glory. I saw that.
Right. Had a lot of John Bon Jovi. We're not sure why. The soundtrack was good. His acting, not so much.
There's really a Young Guns too. I had to look it up. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Of
Young
course
Guns,
there is.
So Young Guns 1 is the fact. I'm gonna get fucking serious for a minute. Young Guns 1 is the actual factual information about Billy the Kid. Young Guns 2 is all the things that may have happened, like the people.
Yeah.
So Young Guns 2 is wild.
Young Guns 2 was great.
Everyone forgets William Peterson was in that one.
Yeah,
and
he
I
was.
love William Peterson.
He was.
Pat Garrett. Pat Garrett, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Original guy was played by Sinbad in the first one. One of the Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, I think it was, and then they switched him out for William Peterson for the second one. But yeah, you can't go wrong with William Peterson. So there you go.
Yeah, I want to point out real quick that Chuck Molley was referring to the Mario Candelaria pen story, Mangiare. I don't know how to pronounce it. You could do it, Carmelo. Mangiare.
Mangiare.
Yeah, mangiare.
You just got to say it louder. That's how you do it.
Mangiare.
You got to use your hands while you say it too. That's
Yeah.
But that's a great story. It's about a pilot who gets shot down in Italy in World War II, and gets sheltered by an old Italian couple while the fascist Italian soldiers are hunting him, and it's a very good story.
Wow, that sounds.
In fact, if you name a creator in Pots and Panels, I think I can name the story. Any story. I hope I can do this, but and I don't have it in front of me. But if you do that, I bet you I can do it.
You guys think we should embarrass him? Should we try one?
Yes.
All right, Richard Fairgray.
2 dinosaurs.
I have no way to confirm whether the tech is.
That is correct. I helped with the website, putting it on Kickstarter. That is correct. Two Dinosaurs is the story about Richard Fred.
Oh, all right. You've got Travis to back you up on that, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that was correct. Let's try one more. I'm going to butcher this. Is it Marcuson Nazo?
Marcuson Naso, that would be Sandwich Space. He's the creator of the artist of Sandwich Space is Travis Himmel, and Marcuson is the writer of By the Horns from Scout and Voracious from Action Lab.
You know, one of my favorite horror movies of all time is The Exorcist, and there's a character in there, the detective named Kinderman, who pretends that he's kind of bumbling so that everyone lets their guard down, but actually he's like really, really smart. And I'm starting to think Chuck's been playing me for as long as I've known him, like good old Mr. Kinderman. So, Chuck, I'm very impressed by this. I'm going to do one more just because I really enjoyed watching you do that.
I love all these creators in this book. I love everybody.
Yeah,
and,
you're fantastic. You brought us all together. You're Nick Fury.
I have
man.
great respect for everybody on this screen and everybody in the book.
Yeah, then I feel so bad about all the bad things we said, especially Emily. She said some pretty foul stuff about you when you were.
I was watching the whole time. I have my list. Molly, you're on it.
She got that mouth from her mother. That's all I'm saying.
I think we should have Emily and Laverne talk at some point because we have an up and coming colorist and artist, of course, and like a master, like right in the same room. So.
That's a good idea, Laverne. Could you give Emily some advice you wish you'd had when you were starting out?
Some advice.
So Emily, do you realize who you're talking to? By the way, do you?
Oh yes, I'm aware.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm aware.
Mm-hmm.
Some advice?
Yeah, advice you wish you had when you were starting out.
Don't listen to me.
He already gave it. Cow pies. That's
right. Try to avoid comics, I guess.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I mean, you. I don't know how much work you've done. I'm sorry. I haven't been in a comic book shop in a long time.
I don't blame you.
Mm-hmm.
It's overwhelming.
Years ago, I went to the comic book shop, and after 4 hours of trying to figure out what I was going to spend my budget on, I went, I don't need any of this.
The same thing.
So I left, and the books that I get are usually recommended to me by friends. So I'm tending to get collections rather than as they come out monthly. But for coloring work, I mean, what did you start on? Did you actually go through a tryout process, or did you get a live job right away? Or
Well, I as long as I've been a digital artist, I've been coloring stuff. I'd say the first real comic that I colored was part of one me and my dad did, where it was a script from a book that he was really interested in, and the comic itself was called Dormana. I don't know if that's what the book is also called.
It's a short story, but yeah.
Yeah, and that was, I want to say, like a 30-page comic. I did that when I want to say I was like 11 or 12.
11 into 12. It was pretty late into that, but it was around that time, and I'll pick up for you because I know you're trying to reach for it, but I can remember it very, very well. Emily was doing free sketches for people in our local comic book shop on Free Comic Book Day. And one of those people that happened to be in line, I think probably for the late Carl Moline, but then happened to look over and see Emily, was our dear friend Travis Gibb. So she's done a lot of stuff for Travis. Travis has continued to bring her in on the Cthulhu Invades series. She's done a lot of that. Most recently within that, the Cthulhu Invades fairy tales, she actually did the colors for my story. And I can tell you from my perspective, aside from being proud papa in that regard, it was like she leveled up. And the stuff that I've seen her doing for other people in this book has just surprised even me. And I've watched her throughout the whole, kind of the whole journey up to this point. She's done an amazing job.
I'm a genius.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, Emily, you want to be in this?
I know. You sent me that email, and I was at my job, and I looked over at my boss, and I was like, I might need to take a couple days off every once in a while. And she was like, "Go for it." I have the best boss ever. She's so nice. I could just be like, "I'm not showing up to work today." She'd be like, "All right."
What is your day job?
I'm a lifeguard.
Oh, cool.
Oh, so nothing important happened while you were gone, right? They just
Yeah.
you could just walk away and no one would notice.
No, they wait. All the swimmers wait for her to be there for the whole life-saving event, so they know when she's not there, just behave.
They're like, "Oh, Emily's car is not here. Might as well not try today."
But yeah, I can't say it enough in that regard because he's also in the room. But we appreciate Travis very, very, very much.
Speak for yourself.
Nah, but yeah, that's been a great deal of things. Obviously, she's biting the hand that feeds her.
On a serious note, even though I get made fun of a lot, I just want to point out that I'm really, really happy that you guys are all okay and that your houses are still there. I'm not kidding, man. I'm not kidding. I was really thinking about all three of you, and so I'm glad you all made it through okay through the hurricanes.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Us too. It didn't hit us super hard, so that's very good.
Yeah, we got really lucky. If you look at the tornado map in the area, it was literally like all around the edges of our county.
Yeah,
and then nothing
like
in our county.
If only the hurricane could have just hit Jason. I mean,
right?
Alone, like just Jason.
Just like a Derek.
One person lost power, their home, all of their comics. His name is Jason Michalski. That's the only person who got hit by this hurricane.
The one guy.
Yeah,
and,
thanks, Chuck.
Rip that guy.
Wow. All right. A lot of love here. Well, gee, while we all get over that comment, Benjamin Morris is with us now. Benjamin, how you doing? Ben, can I call you Ben?
Okay. You can.
Ben, tell
actually,
us
the only
your-
reason I put Benjamin in my name on these things is there's another Ben Morse that used to edit for Marvel, and people do get confused.
Oh, that's fair. Kind of like Ralph Macchio. Tell us, Ben. Tell us what your Pots and Panels story is.
It's called Fragments. So it's a bit of a. I'm a huge Blade Runner fan, like I'm sure a lot of people, and I kind of wanted to do a story that was a lot of the things I loved about Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. They didn't necessarily see in the movie. Something about like the environmental stuff, the managed decline, and it's a short story, so it really only hints at those things. But it's about a sort of detective who's older, who's just been diagnosed with something like dementia or Alzheimer's, is losing his memory, and he's really trying to find a way to remember his family from when he was young. He finds this machine that the police department had. He's a retired detective, and tries to go back in time. Doesn't really find what he's looking for, but he does kind of come upon a recipe, and he kind of uses that to attach to his past once he starts to make it. So it's kind of a way for him to the way he wanted to get back to what he used to have doesn't work, but he does find an alternative route through kind of recreating some of the meals from his childhood. And I based this on a meal that my mom made. My mom, and boy, I hope she is not watching this, is not the best cook at all. And this was even more pronounced in my younger years. So a lot of times she would see something interesting and get some of the quantities wrong. And this resulted in a meatloaf combined with cherries that was a lot more cherries than should have been ever in meatloaf. So it was a really gross meal. But it's been a story I've told, much to my mom's dismay, for years and years. And I thought it would be fun for that to be the meal he goes back to, that he uses to reattach to his past.
Wow. That's really
Can I
beautiful.
just say that Benjamin Morse, your work is so great. August Purgatory, We Are, Scarlet Twilight. I am a huge fan, and your work gives me chills. I see. I don't know. I'm a writer, and I don't really know art that well, but I get reminiscent of Steve Rude when I see that stuff, and
Thanks.
And I just love it. You're a great creator, Benjamin.
Well, I appreciate that. When you said the work is great, I thought you were going to say it was late. Which
Your work is absolutely late. I wasn't going to say that, but also great.
Incidentally, when you guys were talking about your last meal and your last comic book read, mine would have been the World's Finest series that Dave Gibbons wrote, Steve Rude drew, and Carl Kessel inked. It was absolutely one of the first comics I just had a few issues of, read over and over again. And it's one I go back to several times a year. Wow. So it's a huge honor to be compared in any way to him. to Steve Root. He's a hero of mine.
Brian Wolf is right, by the way. One cherry too many. One cherry is too many in meatloaf. I mean, let's face it.
It can be done well, I'm sure, but my mom has it. She kind of just doesn't, especially when you're multiplying the recipe or dividing it, some numbers get dropped there. So we've had meals that you'd have there would be biscuits with goat cheese inside, but the cheese is frozen, so the cheese doesn't cook and the biscuits melt, get burnt. My wife tried to help her out with this a few years ago at Christmas with some poached pear things, and she was convinced that they didn't need to peel the pears, which led to all this ginger beer not getting soaked in and actually becoming so smoky and weird that it made the kitchen toxic. The fire alarms going off, you couldn't breathe. So my mom has a history of just cooking disasters. It was kind of fun to bring some of that in for a story.
That sounds appetizing.
So-
when you put it like that.
I had a really interesting experience with that book that you mentioned, the Steve Root thing. We were at a convention, and after the convention, we were talking color because he was a great painter, and he said, "Well," and he pulled. We went to a studio, and that book was in the pile of stuff we were reading, and he pulled it out, and he made me go through page by page and do a crit on the color.
Mm-hmm. That was early Steve Oliff, right?
No pressure.
That was one of the first computer one. Yeah, that's one of the things that made it so cool at the time. I mean, I was blown away by that.
I gotta say how geeked out I am right now because I think Jason will agree. Jason and I razz each other a lot, but we have similar tastes and we are good friends. But listening to Chuck, Molly, and Laverne talk about making comics was geeking me out big time. I gotta say, just hearing that talk, and then we just lost Jason. I was going to say something about, or not Jason, Mark. But I can jump and because I'm sure there are people that want to join. I think maybe Nick Goodwin and Brian Wolf, you guys should jump in too. They're watching. But I just want to say before I jump, because we need to give other people a chance. Before I go, I can name just about everything you guys have done because I adore all of you as creators. Absolutely. This anthology for me, and I think Jason and Carmelo and Austin would agree, is just an all-out geek fest. We get to be lucky enough to exchange emails with Ron Mars and Andy Kuhn and all these great creators, Phil Hester, and for me, as from a writer perspective, when Steve Niles said yes, you may have noticed I'm not thin. I about had a heart attack. I mean, we are in a book with Steve Niles, you guys. If you're listening to this and you haven't backed Pots and Panels, please do. I'm going to jump because I'm sure other people are going to get in here, but also I cannot stand being on the same screen with Michalski. I got to get out of here. Get me out of here.
Yes, and thank you for teeing me up for that, Chuck. As a reminder, we are only 8 backers away from our next milestone. And if you back before the end of the live stream, I'm going to give away a copy of Cellar Door to a random backer. And I think we're getting there. I think we're getting to the point where we should be wrapping up soon. So if anyone has any final thoughts or anything you want to plug of your own that you're working on, please do. We can start with Emily. She's got her hand up. We'll go around everybody.
I would just like to say, as part of my final thoughts, as my newfound up-and-coming career as a colorist, it sounds really unserious when I'm explaining it to people. So I will have to skip out on a social event, and I'm like, oh, I should really work on stuff. I'm sorry, I can't go. And they're like, oh, what do you got going on? I'm like, I got to color stuff. It makes it sound like I'm at home with my little coloring book and my crayons, and I'm scribbling it in outside the lines. I just wanted to mention that it brings me immense joy watching people be I don't know. I love it.
No, that's fantastic. Yeah, a lot of people don't take it seriously from the outside till they see the final product.
Yeah, I got. Sorry, I got paint
Oh,
by numbers when I was first starting out and saying I was, working. I had to do some color, and they go, "What do you mean, like paint by numbers?"
That's
oh,
funny.
the worst part is they say it's a hobby. Oh, nice hobby that you're doing. It's a
Yeah.
hobby. It's like,
Right.
Right.
I think I have that for them.
Yeah.
exactly.
I heard some
Condescending
claps in the
piece
other
of
room.
shit.
Anyone else want to throw out some final thoughts or a project you want to plug or anything?
Real
I
quick,
do.
Yeah,
I
for
actually
someone
have.
else.
real quick in the
Excellent.
same vein, when I tell people I letter comics, which I have been for quite a few years, they don't understand what I'm talking about.
Right.
Right.
Mm, right.
True.
People.
I've tried to explain for many years, and I've yet to come up with a satisfying answer.
Yeah, and everybody out there with the Steve Niles mention, the book I just worked on with Steve a while ago is out from Dark Horse right now, called Satan's Swarm, and I colored way too many bugs in that book.
That sounds terrific.
Wow.
Satan's
Hello,
Swarm, you
everyone.
said?
Satan's Swarm,
Perfect for this time of year. Wonderful.
not Satan's Warm,
Satan's Swarm.
Satan's Swarm.
Satan's Swarm. That makes sense.
Hey, Carmelo.
Yeah.
I just want to give some shout outs to the people on this project.
Hell yeah, go
Before I
for it,
go.
brother.
So I want to thank everybody that has worked on this project. Emily, for all of the work that you've done on these stories. Chuck, it's I wanted to say hello because I know you and I have only talked on the phone like once, but we've worked together a lot. So, but again, thank you for all the lettering you've done. Matt James, who's not on this call, but he's one of our colorists that is doing a lot of the heavy lifting in the background, doing an amazing job. I know Laverne is also helping us with other stories besides his own. So thank you for that. Jerome Gagnon for additional lettering. And I'm going to die if I forget people. I think Brian Wolf is also helping us out with some lettering and coloring if you can. So just thank you to everybody because we couldn't do this project without you. There's no way it would have gotten done without all of the help. And it's just been an amazing experience. And I just wanted to say thank you. I know I don't get to interact with a lot of people, but I see all of the work going back and forth, and it's just been incredible. So I just want to make sure I said thank you to everybody before we closed out tonight. And that's it.
That's really sweet.
Aww.
I just saw a shout out to me from a friend of mine from Texas, Dan. I tried to chat back. I had to change to Chrome because I use Safari, and that's what was causing the problems earlier. But I can't join the chat like I was earlier. So
I should sign off if you've got people still stacked.
No,
I can bounce. There's one more person I want to thank. It's John Westoff. I know he was doing some lettering for us, and John would kill me for forgetting that. So I just want to say thanks to John, and go buy all of his comics because they're awesome. And I'll see everybody soon.
I'll see you.
I want to give a quick shout to Richard, even though we're wrapping up. Richard Fairgray has just joined us. Richard, do you want to tell us real quick what your story was for Pots and Panels?
Well, I mean, the story was about how I didn't understand how Central Time works. So sorry I'm so late.
It's all right. No, it's been a revolving door. It's been fun. People have been coming in and out. It's great.
I went to share the link with everyone. I was like, oh, it's probably over by now, but it's not. So here I am. I actually I did 2 stories for this because I came up with this absolutely buck wild story that I thought no one could ever have come up with. And I wrote the entire script, and then I thought I should just see what the vibe is for the thing. And I went onto our big shared website, and the first storyline up there is John Westoff's story, and it's almost identical to what I'd written.
Okay.
So I was like, well, that's fucked. So I went back to the drawing board, and I did a memoir piece about the 2 times that I ate a dinosaur egg, or what I thought was a piece of candy that turned out to absolutely not be. One was 35.
Got it. That's fantastic. And before you joined us, we were asking what your last meal would be and what comic you'd be reading when you ate it.
I would never eat a comic while I was eating food. Read a comic while I was eating food. That sounds like a terrible idea. That's like people who read
You're
novels.
the first person to give me that answer. We've been here for an hour and 40 minutes. You're the first person to think of it.
No, I sometimes try and find what I call like background foods, like a bag of cabbage, because you can eat that without getting any grease on your hands. So like if I wanted to end my life reading a comic, I would do something sad like that. But I think realistically, I'd want my last meal.
Sad is right. Sorry. But
Yeah, and that's from the girl who said bread earlier.
Okay. I'll take that one.
I'm sorry, Emily.
Take that one.
I'm sorry.
I think like I would want just like a combination of all the foods that I kind of sort of remember what they taste like, just so I could go out with that fresh in my mind.
Oh, all right. I got you.
Or just like if you buy like a tub of tartaric acid and you can make your own candy with it, but just have like a big old tablespoon full of that, so that I would be certain that I would absolutely shit myself after I die, so someone else has to do it.
Richard, I wish you and I got to know each other better on this live stream. You seem like an interesting fellow. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah. That's how about that?
Thank you. I'm free.
You are free. You bet. You are no longer the whitest person who's been on
Yes.
this podcast.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Anyone else want to throw anything out there?
Can I give a shout out? Yeah, I'd love to give a shout out. For Toadstools, I just wanted to say, because we often work with artists sometimes in different countries, and they don't always catch these things or even see these things till afterwards. So I wanted to say the illustrator for Toadstools was Monica Lapras. She's absolutely incredible and amazing, and I think she's still like getting out there and everything, but she's really talented. The colorist was Zachary Kochi. The letterer was Wes Locher. And I did want to also mention I've got something out actually tomorrow, so I might as well mention that. This is it. This is a horror anthology. It's going to be
cool.
It's 4 stories, 1 volume. I'm basically going to bring out a volume every Halloween, and it's 75 to 85 pages every volume every year. I'm going to try to bring out with different artists. With different stories that I've written. That's called Never by Night. That's out tomorrow. And also last month I brought this one out. This is with Dead Sky Comics, which has been around a little while, Dead Sky Comics. But that one came out last month. So I just wanted to plug those two because they're out there. That's it. Thanks.
Oh, that's fantastic.
If we're plugging, I would just like to mention I have 2 hours left on my current Kickstarter campaign. If anyone's interested in the
holy smokes, man!
Good
Send me the link. I'll put it in the chat right now.
It's just kickricchard.com.
Kickricchard.com. Hang on one second.
The series finale of the Ex-Wives of Frankenstein.
Oh,
I backed it.
Thank you.
I'm going to back it in a second.
Hey, real
go
quick,
ahead,
I just want to mention because Jason, not that he forgot, but jumping on what Jason said, Timothy C. Brown is another colorist for the book, and he deserves a shout out. And Hector Negrete is a letterer on the book, and I think we should mention that Hector Negrete and Travis Gibbs. Travis and I joke about like Hector is my Jerome Gagnon, and Jerome Gagnon is his Hector Negrete. These guys, Jerome and Hector, are designing the book and getting it ready for the printer. They deserve a big shout out too, as well. I also want to take a quick second. I had to come back on because Richard is here. Richard, I'm a huge fan. I love your stuff. I love it, and I think that you are a fantastic talent. I think that you are so good at what you do, and I love everything that I get my hands on by you.
I'm not going to disagree.
I wouldn't, because I'm right. I'm usually right about these things.
Well, thank you. I'm really good at taking sincere compliments, as you can tell. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we are really, really blessed to have so many talented creators.
Also, Carmelo, you don't get enough credit. I mean, seriously, let's talk about Austin Hamblin and Carmelo Chimera real quick, okay? Carmelo put together. Carmelo is, apart from the fact that he's one of us, he's also a very successful and respected attorney here in Chicago. And apart from being a filmmaker and comic book creator. He's also an attorney. He's the guy who put together he's the guy who put together the legal agreements. He's the guy who keeps us on the straight and narrow. He's the Kickstarter guru. This book does not get made without Carmelo Chimera. It just doesn't. It doesn't get made. It's impossible. Impossible.
Thank you.
And then Austin Hamlin, he is stuck at work. He wrote the story for Phil Hester in this book called Someday, because I remember all of the stories titles. I even got yours. They asked me yours, Richard, and I knew.
I heard. Yes, you were very correct.
Yeah. Boom. Austin Allen Hamlin is doing all of the social media posts, all those videos you see, everything. It's all Austin and his ridiculous sense of humor. He has a book right now from Band of Bards called Big Guns, Stupid Rednecks. And it's hilarious, and everybody should read it. And then, Jason didn't get thanked either. He was thanking other people. As much as it pains me to thank Jason for anything. No, I'm kidding. Jason is the organizational guy on this. If it's about keeping things organized, he's the guy who got all of the book plate stickers out to everybody. So this book doesn't get made without Austin and Jason and Carmelo and their hard work. Really, thank you to you guys.
Oh, thank you so much for saying so, Chuck. Really. That means a lot. It's an honor to be in this book with so many people I respect and admire.
Let's fund.
Yeah, let's get her done. We're right in the middle of the campaign, which is pretty squarely in what's called the Kickstarter dead zone. So this is the time of the campaign where it's very challenging to get eyes on it, but it's my favorite part of the campaign, because this is when you get to be creative with things like instant rewards and milestone rewards, and it's where I get to do my stuff. And it's in those last 3 days where a lot of folks who say, hey, I want to do this, but I'll look at it later. That's when everyone goes, oh crap, let's get it done. And they back right away. So there's always that little spike at the end that we have to look forward to. So we're well on our way, and I'm thankful for all 217 backers. Let's not forget them as well, because without them, there's no book. Without they say the last collaborator is the audience, right? So like everything we do is not finished until someone has read it, and that's kind of a beautiful thing, and it's why I like Kickstarter for comic books. So we heard earlier about Laverne's awesome Dante Inferno project that for some reason didn't get made. That doesn't have to be the case now with something like a Kickstarter. You can go right to the people, and if enough people want it, then it gets made, and that's what's beautiful about this. So I'll announce the winner now of our prize, and remind everyone that if you back the campaign, you're getting right away, you're getting 2 comics that are on the campaign. You're getting an instant reward sent to you. You're getting a milestone reward sent to you. You could get another if you sign up for email updates, also on the Kickstarter page or in the comments here. And that's just immediately. That's before we fund. You all are going to get a bunch of free digital comic books immediately. And, obviously when we fund, we've got a lot more fun stuff for you. So without further ado, I have typed in to a random number generator to pick a number between 1 and 217, which is the number of backers we have. And we have backer number
You want me to look that up?
54. And I'm going to butcher this poor person's name. I have Pao Cho. So Pao Cho.
That's Jason Michalski's buddy.
Is that right? Well, Pao,
Yeah.
Congratulations. Holy crap. Pao has backed 723 Kickstarter projects.
I will say, including 15 of mine. I love that guy.
Wow. Well,
He backed the Unbitter Souls Omnibus too. Pao is like a Kickstarter backing legend. He should be in the Kickstarter Hall of Fame.
We're gonna put a page in the book. It's gonna be like to Pao.
Dedicated to Pao. He didn't do anything in here, but we just really like him.
We just really like
shout out Pao.
Remember the last?
You have to spell it. You have to spell it T'Pau, like the band T'Pau from the 80s. T'Pau, like that would be the extra.
Well, Pao, you are as Neil would have said if he was here. You are a mensch, and we are so glad to have you backing our project. And so I will send you, or rather, I'm going to delegate to Chuck to send you a message to get your your mailing address, and I will send you a copy of my hardcover graphic novel anthology, Cellar Door, my sci-fi horror anthology, just in time for Halloween. So we'll get that shipped out to you right away. Thanks to everyone who participated tonight, especially all the creators, many of whom only stayed for a little while, and that's exactly what we wanted. We wanted an open door because this is a long time. And those of you who have been with me the entire stream, Emily, Pete, for example, Jonathan's been with me, I think, since the beginning. Thank you all for being a part of this. This was a fun conversation. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. If I can twist anyone's arm, maybe we'll do one the last day as well. Sometimes that last hour
closing parties are the best.
Yeah, the finale is kind of a
Yeah.
fun time to do it. So even if it's less promoting and more, let's just
Might
tell
even have to
our-
break out the old rosé and the fancy glasses.
Yes. Well, thanks again, everyone. I'll end the stream in just a moment. And if you are watching this after the fact, please give it a share. Please back Pots and Panels on Kickstarter. Tons of great milestones if we get enough backers. So please do. Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.